Decades ago, when President Ronald Reagan led a peace effort with the Russians, he adopted the slogan, "Trust but verify." But Vladimir Putin is not Mikhail Gorbachev. Putin seeks darkness, not glasnost. He seeks empire, not perestroika. We can't trust but verify with Putin. We must deter and fortify. Deter new aggression and fortify our shared defense. And that's why yesterday the Minister and I announced the extension of Canada's Operation Reassurance for another 3 years. This renewal will increase capabilities in Latvia and strengthen that NATO deterrence. If we're going to defend and advance our values of freedom, of democracy and peace, Canada must do so from a position of strength. In short, if we want a safer world, we need a stronger Canada.
I don't know where to start this video from. Canada. Do you know that Canada is protected by America? And Russia has singly defeated America and Western Europe combined. So what is Canada going to do? What difference is Canada going to make? I mean, I don't get it. So this makes me wonder if these guys are actually using their own brain. Sometimes when you listen to some of the statements that these, leaders make, it makes me wonder if these guys, are on their own. It's kind of like somebody somewhere is controlling these guys. This reminds me of what, Politics Prime said about most of these leaders, right? They are controlled. Watch this video. I believe in this video. Check it out.
They want you to be obedient, to forget your culture, your family, your freedom. They erase borders, destroy traditions, and turn nations into a faceless mass. This is globalism, and it's coming for you. They say this is progress. But is it really progress? When your children are taught they have no gender? When an algorithm controls your money? When your homeland dissolves into a unified world? No, this is not progress. This is enslavement. But we are not slaves. We are the ones who remember, who resist, who refuse to break. We have not lost as long as we refuse to stay silent. Seek the truth. Unite with those who fight before it's too late. Your voice is your weapon.
Yes, we are currently in a war against the globalists. They want to control the whole world. That is why most of these leaders, they make statements which doesn't make sense. The fact is, somebody somewhere is controlling them. They are telling them what to do, what to say. If not, I don't think Canada will be making such statements. It's a fact. Thanks to Politics Prime for bringing this program. I love Politics Prime. In fact, when you listen to them, you realize that most of our leaders are not on their own. The currency we spend is controlled by somebody. The money we make is controlled by somebody. And that is a fact. Dear Canadians, be smart. This is what you guys are going to fight against. So when I first came across this video, I thought it was, US because of the helmet. But when I dived deep and made more research, I realized that this was not a US weapon. This is specifically for the Russians. The Russians built this weapon specifically for their Black Sea fleet because NATO was jamming or destroying their warships in the Black Sea fleet. So they developed this weapon specifically for the Black Sea to shoot down unmanned area vehicles, UAV, or in short, drones. Everybody is complaining that, oh, this war has taken longer. We should be, this war should have ended by now if Russia was powerful. Russia, over the past 3 years, has built their army, fortified their positions. So it is more difficult to defeat Russia now than before the war started. So the only chance that Western America had to defeat the Russians was in the beginning of the war, because that was when Russia was more vulnerable. That was when the sanctions could have destroyed the Russian economy. Today, Russia has been able to diversify their economy, move their economic dependence on the West to Asia. And more money for the economy means more weapons for the soldiers in the front lines. They've been able to build fortifications that are very difficult for anybody to penetrate. Ukrainian soldiers are tougher than NATO soldiers. NATO train Ukrainian soldiers, but NATO has never in their life fight against any country who is on the standard of the Russians. They fight against weak countries. Ukrainians, on the other hand, are fighting against a superpower, and they started way back from 2014, so they have more experience when it comes to, these wars. What about Canada? Where has Canada ever been to? Canadian soldiers cannot even protect their own country. That is why they have to rely on the Americans. And here they are making reckless statements. The Russians have taken advantage of this war, and they have built their army to the point that nobody can defeat them. I've said this before, that there is no country on earth here that can defeat the Russians. They have a fantastic record. Look at their history, and you know who they are. They fight very slow. You may think that this war has taken longer than you expected, but that is who they are. The Russians don't rush, but when they defeat you to a point that you cannot come back and hand them. That is who they are. They think this war is going to end today or tomorrow. Well, the Europeans are already fighting a lost battle. They are now committed to send more money and more European soldiers, boots on the ground. That is what the Europeans are currently planning of doing, because Ukraine is gone. They have defeated Ukraine, and these guys just don't want to accept defeat. While some European countries are fixated on destroying Russia, there are some few exceptionals like Hungary and Italy. I just love Italy Deputy Prime Minister. Italy Deputy Prime Minister recently told Emmanuel Macron that if you want Italy soldiers to go and fight in Ukraine, then France should lead by example. Emmanuel Macron should be led by an example. Emmanuel Macron should go to Ukraine and fight himself. That is what he told them. And just yesterday, he came out and told the whole world that Italy boots, Italy soldiers will not be seen in the front lines. Italy is not prepared to go and fight against the Russians. That is what the Deputy Prime Minister of Italy said. I love this guy. In fact, he's a realist. He's just like Hungary. The Hungarians are also saying the same thing. The Hungarians are saying the same thing. That it doesn't make sense to fight against the Russians when we all know very well that Ukraine has already lost this war. So why do we continue to commit our soldiers? Why do we continue to send men to the front lines when we know very well that the Russians are going to annihilate them? Why can't the Europeans accept that they have lost this war? I don't get it. Well, maybe I am getting it wrong. I'm working with you guys. What do you think about this whole Canada interest to fight the Russians, trying to, show their muscles? They are trying to portray strength, right? What do you think about this, guys? If you think Canada stand a chance against the Russians, type yes in the comment section. If you think Canada is only bluffing, they stand no chance against the Russians, type no in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching today's show. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode.